Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, releasing misconduct records of local police officers. Today, a judge rules in favor of the motion. However, it will take some time. What happened in the hearing? Plus, temperatures in classrooms at a City Heights school dip into the 50s. An in-depth look at the problem and if the school found a solution. And get ready for more rain. A storm system is heading for San Diego. How long will it last? KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. It's Friday, March 1st. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. A local judge rules the public should be allowed to see some internal police records, but the records still won't immediately be released. KPBS reporter Claire Tragesser explains this ruling.
I'm here at San Diego's Hall of Justice, where a judge has just ruled that state law does say that past records of police misconduct should be released. A new state law went into effect at the beginning of this year, saying that records of police use of force in the line of duty, including killing someone in the line of duty, and sustained findings of sexual assault while on the job or lying in the course of an investigation on the job should be made public. But several local police unions have challenged that, saying that the law isn't clear that it should be records from the past that should be released, only records going forward. But today, a judge ruled against that argument, saying all records, including in the past, should be released. Now, Richard Pinkard, who is the attorney representing the local police unions, spoke after the ruling, and he said that actually it was sort of what he expected.
It was something that we had to bring forward in the interests of our clients. Our clients were very concerned for all the obvious reasons that you heard in our oral argument. The decision is the decision. This is our legal process. We respect the process.
David Loy, who is a lawyer for the San Diego and Imperial Counties Labor Union, had filed a petition in the case today, and he says that the ruling upholds a landmark state law.
This is a landmark law in California. For decades, California had the most secretive and restrictive laws in the country on police conduct and misconduct. You could not get almost any of these records through a public records request.
Now, the records won't be immediately released. A judge put a stay on releasing those records until March 29th, giving the local police unions a chance to appeal if they want to. The lawyer for those unions said they aren't sure yet whether they will do that or not. Claire Tragesser, KPBS News.
Thanks, Claire. An asylum seeker who entered through the San Ysidro port of entry is being allowed to stay in the U.S. for now. We first brought you the story yesterday. His family held a rally against his deportation. Constantine Bacala and his family fled the Democratic Republic of Congo in 2017. They say they feared for their lives. Once in the U.S., Bacala was separated from his family and eventually detained in Virginia. His family was released on parole here in San Diego. The family attorney now tells KPBS News today the Justice Department granted Bacala an emergency stay. San Diego's recent chilly weather may have had many people boosting their thermostats, but that wasn't an option for more than a dozen classrooms at a local middle school. KPBS reporter Taryn Minto tells us why it took a month to fix the heating system for some City Heights classrooms.
The dress code at Monroe Clark Middle School temporarily changed last month. That's when the heat went out in 15 classrooms. Against policy, teachers say they allowed students to wear their hoods in class to stay warm.
Some of us teachers began to record the temperatures in the morning, just for the record. And some of the lowest temperatures we recorded were 52, 51 degrees.
Teacher Andy Soto says he thought the issue would be fixed soon after he reported it on January 22nd. But a district technician didn't examine the issue until February 7th. Soto says teachers and kids wore winter coats to class, but not all students at the low-income school had them.
I've had students ask me if they can bring blankets to school, and of course that's not my decision. I've had a kid with gloves bring gloves to school because he said his hands were hurting because they were so cold.
The problem lasted for more than 4 weeks.
Turn your heat off and let it get down to 55. then you'll know what these kids are dealing with.
Gail Petrick is a teacher at the school. As a union representative, she says she tried to intervene.
We began what's called a level 1 grievance, where we contact the principal and we have an informal meeting to discuss what can be done, what can the district do.
On the day of our interview, she said the union was moving to the next stage because classrooms were still cold. She and 2 other staff members said they hoped speaking with KPBS would move the repair along. The very next day, the classrooms were warm again. A San Diego Unified School District representative confirmed heat was restored February 21st, the day of our interview. District spokesman Samer Naji says outages aren't unusual during extreme weather like the recent winter chill. But he says the problem at Clark Middle School took so long because it was complex.
Or the problem in the 200 building specifically turned out to be an issue with the breaker sensitivity, and it did take some time to coordinate a proper response with the contractors to make sure that that got fixed safely.
He says when the heat went out, Clark Middle's principal provided each classroom a portable heater and the option to move to a warm space.
You know, short of closing down the school, that's the district's response, and we think that the principal's response was appropriate.
None of the teachers moved. Teacher Soto says the heater didn't provide much relief, but he didn't relocate because it would have further disrupted learning. The students were already unhappy. Soto says one complained about the long delay to repair the issue.
Why is it taking them so long to fix it? It's the heating system. And another student chimed in and responded, yeah, this is ghetto. And I said, what do you mean by ghetto? And the same student responded, because we live in the ghetto.
But they didn't hear complaints from parents who weren't officially notified until after the problem was resolved. Spokesman Naji says that decision was left up to the school. A letter went out the Monday after it was fixed. Naji says he also hasn't heard complaints, but encouraged parents to reach out anytime with questions.
We are not pleased that it takes several weeks to restore heat, but we are thankful for the principal's quick response.
The staff members say they're pleased the heat is back on, but they're still concerned about how long it took to fix. They say they feel the students at the low-income Hispanic majority school are often overlooked. Naji says the district works to provide all students with high-quality facilities and said that Clark just received $12 million in upgrades. A report on the incident will be provided to the San Diego Unified School Board. President Sharon Whitehurst Payne requested it after she was contacted by KPBS. In a statement, she said the principal took, quote, immediate action in response to the outage, but said, quote, there is always room for improvement. Taryn Mento, KPBS News.
Thanks, Taryn. That school had its heat turned on just in time. Multiple storm systems are on their way and could give us rain for up to a week. Meteorologist Dajia Swad has the forecast.
Today, well, we were pretty dry, but the cloud cover definitely noticeable, and that's going to continue through tonight. Here's a look at the satellite and radar from the last several hours. That cloud deck continues to come into California as we watch our low pressure system track a bit closer. So as we head into tonight, clouds more than anything, and then we'll get that shower arriving as we head into the midnight hour and continue through the early morning with a a low of 57 tonight here in San Diego, cooling down to 51 in Oceanside, 57 in Borrego Springs, and 43 in Mount Laguna. We'll get the first taste of wet weather and towards the coast, and eventually moving its way inland. But even as we move inland, not going to be impressive with our rain amounts in places like Borrego Springs. You're looking at a high of 73 for tomorrow. Borrego Springs, you'll be looking at possibly a quarter inch of rain, so not really impressive. Mount Laguna a bit better, 49 for your high. Rain amounts likely to get up to an inch because of our slopes, but we're not going to see too much in the way of snow in our higher grounds. To the coast, Oceanside, a high of 63 tomorrow, 65 in San Diego, and looking up to a half of inch of rain and shower activity. Stormy conditions with this low pressure, not only for California, but as we track our way in towards Nevada, Arizona, as well as into Utah. And as you head to the north and into the Sierras, that's where we'll be looking at a better chance for some snowfall. In fact, the Sierras talking some heavy snow coming with this storm. So here's a look at the futurecast. We're not only talking wet conditions, but cloudy, windy weather with this rain moving on in Saturday at 6 a.m. That'll continue to bring windy conditions in towards the mountains and deserts for your Saturday afternoon and night. As you notice, 12 p.m., not a whole bunch of moisture in towards Borrego Springs or Mount Laguna, but really towards the east into Oceanside and San Diego. That'll continue to fizzle on out as we head into the 5 and 6 o'clock hour, and really Saturday night drying on out with a tad bit of moisture lingering around. Now for the early week, we dry out for much of the southwest before we talk about another batch of wet weather for your Tuesday and possibly even into your Wednesday. We're going to see that same pattern into the inland areas. Saturday, Sunday, wet, brief dry out Monday, then a chance for wet conditions Tuesday. Mountains, once again, moisture going to be limited, but winds going to be gusting up to 55 miles per hour. Desert's also going to be noticing those winds into your extended forecast for Saturday. Reporting for KPBS News, I'm your meteorologist, Dajia Swad. Back to you.
On a programming note, next Wednesday at 5 in the evening edition will be live from Borrego Springs for the summer bloom. We will be covering the economy, the flowers, and the desert. Make sure to tune in. The San Diego Festival of Science and Engineering kicks off tomorrow. KPBS photojournalist Chris Arciaga gives us this exclusive preview.
This liquid nitrogen actually boils, and we want to show you how quickly it can turn to a gas, and we want to show you a couple other fun things about it.
We're going to be down here tomorrow, Saturday, March 2nd, with Expo Day, which is the kickoff to the San Diego Festival of Science and Engineering, a week-long series where we bring STEAM all over the county of San Diego.
We're the STEM portion: science, technology, engineering, and math.
We're putting the A in STEAM, arts.
We're adding the A in this year. Traditionally, you hear a lot about STEM. The A really adds a lot of collaboration and curiosity to help the core concentrations of the elements of STEM.
One of the things you learn in art is composition, line, and color. Graffiti art is a tremendous example of that innate ability to think about composition, line, and color, and that's how one thing goes with another, how it connects with another. So if you put this into a science industry, you can put in data all day long, but if you can't get to what the significance or the meaning is of the parts, then you're just pumping out data.
3, 2, 1.
In San Diego, we have a growing hub here for innovation. We have a ton of scientific companies. So what we're doing down here at Petco Park is really showcasing all of those companies and how they're making an impact and how our students can follow the path through science to be a part of those companies.
Learning science is just learning about nature, learning about our surroundings. The more we know about our surroundings, the more we know about ourselves.
This week really shows us all the aha moments, and we know that when we bring kids down here and they experience those hands-on activities and they're talking to folks that look like them in the industry, that they can follow that path. Whether it's during Expo Day or one of our events throughout the week, we're looking for that aha moment and that spark that really just ignites the future of how they see themselves.
The San Diego Festival of Science and Engineering runs from tomorrow until March 10th. The building of a $1 million office suite for Palomar College President Joy Lynn Blake is moving ahead. KPBS partner iNewsSource reported this week a member of the college's Bond Oversight Committee asked for cheaper options to be considered. Construction on the suite began in January in the college's new $67 million library. At the Bond Committee meeting today, Blake defended the project. Although the suite was not part of the original design, she says the school's president has always had an office in the library. The Bond Committee took no action to look for a cheaper alternative.
I did speak about it, and I don't believe that he would have allowed that to happen. It just wasn't to his advantage to allow that to happen. Those prisons are rough. They're rough places, and bad things happened. But I really don't believe that he was, I don't believe he knew about it.
President Trump says he doesn't think North Korean leader Kim Jong-un knew about the brutal treatment of Otto Warmbier. In 2016, the 22-year-old college student was visiting North Korea when he was detained for allegedly stealing a propaganda poster. He died in June 2017 after being returned home in a vegetative state. His parents believe he was tortured. President Trump spoke about the situation yesterday, saying he doesn't believe Kim Jong-un knew about what happened to Warmbier. Today, his parents rejected that claim.
We had a long 2 to 3 years. I can't imagine how much longer. And then we were always told that Otto was okay. So you can't believe a word they say. Look how he came home. Was that okay?
They used him as a political pawn for as long as they could, and when they could no longer, when he was of no value to them, they essentially sent him home to our family in a body bag.
North Korea has denied mistreating Warmbier.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, President Trump orders his son-in-law be given top-secret clearance over objections from U.S. intelligence. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
We're back now, and I'm joined by Mira Kopik with SDSU and Bottom Line Marketing for this week's Friday Business Report. Welcome, Mira.
Hi, Ebony.
So 2018 turned out to be a great year for the San Diego International Airport. Officials there are saying it was once again a record-breaking year when it comes to travel. So what are your thoughts? Do you think it's likely this momentum will continue?
You know, as far as it goes, it seems like it's going to continue in 2019 and 2020. And what happened was there was a 10% increase in passenger air traffic, really driven by international routes. So routes to Germany, to Canada, to Mexico. 16 new routes, both domestic and international, were opened. 15 of the 17 airlines at the airport saw traffic increases driven by Southwest Airlines, Alaska, and United in particular. And one of the big things is that, and why I think this is going to happen and continue, is because this week Southwest Airlines announced new routes to Hawaii from San Diego, which will be a great place to kind of start summer vacations from. Some of the reasons why this happened, I think, is not only the reimagining of the airport with the construction of the new rental car terminal, the new parking, and Terminal 2, but also they're looking to expand Terminal 1 by adding 11 new gates and really creating a whole new customer experience for travelers. And what helps fuel some of this is not only San Diego Tourism's marketing campaign to bring in visitors. Cruise ships have actually increased the number of cruises they're leading out of San Diego, upgrades to our local attractions like SeaWorld and Legoland. And San Diego is a great place to start your California vacation going from south to north. So I think the airport's well suited for the next couple of years.
So it sounds like the efforts are paying off there. So switching gears, if we may, to 5G technology, which has been a big topic of discussion last year and continuing into 2019. It was also the major focus for a trade show attended by Qualcomm this week. So how important is it for San Diego-based Qualcomm to be a leader when it comes to 5G technology?
Well, 5G technology is going to be the pace-setting technology for any device and pretty much what's going to power the world going forward. Qualcomm announced 6 new product innovations, and we're just going to focus on a couple of them right now. The first one is on their mobile chipset. So right now their 5G mobile chip is a single chip. They announced a new technology that allows the modem to fit on one silicon chip that contains a lot of applications. This will help manufacturers build new mobile devices faster. 20 manufacturers have already signed on to use Qualcomm's 5G chipset, and 2 of them at least are going to launch new products this year, Samsung and LG. So that's one big announcement. The second one was around the always connected computer. Not only are they going to be able to match fiber optic broadband download speeds, but they're also going to improve battery life with this chip. So this is a huge thing, and Lenovo is going to be the first one using that chip with their new computers rolling out at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. So Qualcomm has done some pretty amazing stuff, and some of their other announcements were related to the automotive sector, which are pretty exciting, and we could talk about it at a future date.
So exciting news for Qualcomm there. So lastly, moving on to Weight Watchers. It was a tough week for Weight Watchers. The company stock took a big hit, and some experts are blaming recent rebranding. And now news is that the company is reaching out to powerhouse Oprah Winfrey. Is her popularity enough, in your opinion, to turn things around?
Well, Oprah became a stockholder of Weight Watchers a few years ago, and her star power really helped fuel the turnaround, brought in a new CEO with turnaround expertise. Here, in a very tough and competitive market, what happened was the new name change didn't resonate in the most important quarter of the year for Weight Watchers, which is the first quarter. After the holidays, people are looking to lose weight. They lost 10% of their subscribers. Their stock price, as you mentioned, went down 35%. And what they're doing is they're rethinking this WW, and they're changing the tagline to say WW, Weight Watchers Reimagined. So the Weight Watchers is still connected. And Oprah is going to make her big debut in a big campaign starting in April, which is the second most important season for a company like Weight Watchers, which is the pre-summer season.
So we'll be watching to see if they can turn things around. Mira Kopik, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Ebony.
An asylum-seeking family tries to save a father from deportation. San Diego embraces community choice energy and the $250 million price tag for a new SDSU stadium. Join us for the KPBS Roundtable tonight at 8:30.
The Studio Door in North Park was designed to be a place where art and commerce intersect, but its founder, Patrick Stillman, has faced setbacks. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando looks at the journey that has brought Stillman to his new location in Hillcrest.
Artist Stefan Talion started painting with his fingers after being inspired by an artist who had a workspace near his at the Studio Door.
I didn't touch it with brush, just with my hands. And it's fun. It brings me closer to the canvas. Like, I'm loving it.
That's the kind of creative alchemy Patrick Stillman wanted to inspire when he opened the Studio Door in 2015.
When I started out with the Studio Door, I wanted to create a space where artists could engage with each other and learn from each other and grow quickly.
And that's what he did for 4 years in North Park. But then rising rents forced the Studio Door to close.
I never had a plan B, and I had built such a beautiful community that I wanted that to continue.
The Studio Door was what he called an arts incubator and featured not just a gallery, but studio space for emerging artists like Talion. When the Studio Door closed, Talion had to find another place.
I found cheaper place and bigger place. I had a lot of walls, but it was kind of like office space, so nobody saw those paintings on the walls, so I got kind of depressed.
But sometimes not having a plan can yield unexpected results.
After 4 years, I had this break. Even though I didn't want it, it gave me this opportunity to think about what was successful, what I could do differently. And this new space is really, I think, pumping up the volume in showcasing artists' voices and their visions.
The Studio Door found a new, bigger home in Hillcrest and reopened after a 6-month closure.
And now the Studio Door has turned into something that's a much larger community that is really propelling art in ways that are fitting sort of the gaps in the spectrum of San Diego's visual art scene.
What makes the Studio Door unique is this mix of a gallery with artist studios, allowing people to engage with the artists. This way, people can see not just finished art, but also get a window into such intangible things as creativity, imagination, and inspiration. Talion is thrilled to be back at the Studio Door and working amongst a community of artists.
For me, when I walk in this place, it's kind of like 18 hearts beating. Like when you go through those little studios and everyone is so different and it's so inspiring. Like I'm just feeling really at home.
Caitlin Alfaro is one of his new neighbors.
I like to make flower paintings kind of like these ones, yeah, I'm going to start making hibiscuses here, and so I just made a rough sketch and I'm putting the sketch down on some nice yellow paint.
At 24, she's the youngest artist at the Studio Door.
I think it's just really cool because it's like a level up for me. Like I finally have a place just to be creative, and there's all these other cool artists, and like we're all just like, yeah, like creative juices all in here. So I'm like really like grateful to be here.
Studio Door offers Hillcrest a diverse palette, not only in terms of the age, gender, and race of its artists, but also in terms of media and techniques. In addition to painting, you can find clay sculpture, bronze casting, fused glass, photography, and mixed media in styles ranging from delightfully bizarre three-dimensional work to vibrantly painted canvases.
Art is very personal, and when you buy something, it's because something touches you. It speaks to you in a certain way, and so we hope that we're giving the artists and the people who want their art that connection.
Sales at the studio door have been 4 times higher in its first month than at any time while in North Park. The reason's not clear. The new location in Hillcrest definitely provides better foot traffic. But maybe fate has finally placed the studio door at the perfect intersection of art and commerce.
I think the arts often get dismissed as something that's frivolous. And the arts is $1 million economic driver in San Diego. So I think that creative spaces also allow community to have a voice in their identity. And the arts are so important in creating community identity. And so I don't think that the arts should be so easily dismissed because of all of the things that they're bringing to the community.
The studio door's location has changed, but not its mission. It still strives to make art accessible and affordable to the public, while at the same time helping artists navigate the marketplace and try to earn a living. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
The studio door opens its new exhibition, The Crow, tomorrow. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.